Ethereum's up around 50% over the last 7 days, sitting at around $2,500 for the first time in what feels like years. Did Pectra save Ethereum? Is that a crazy take? More on that in a little bit. Welcome to Cryptocurrents, the weekly podcast where we cover everything going on in crypto currently. Our regular host, Vince, is touching grass for the next 2 weeks, so I am going to be his replacement for this episode. So without further ado, my name is Kaylee, aka Kale, like the vegetable. I am the in-house, on-chain degen here at Mu and Encrypt. Today I'm joined by Katya Michaels from Mu.
Hey, Kale, like the vegetable.
And one of the most cracked devs you'll ever meet, Gage, also from Mu.
Hi.
What's up, guys? So, earlier this week, Coinbase was added into the S&P 500. They replaced Discover Financial, the Discover credit card company, who was acquired by Capital One, which left an open space in the S&P 500. This feels like probably the biggest crypto TradFi collab in a while, and I can't help but think that more crypto companies will eventually enter into the S&P 500. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Katya, kick us off.
Yeah, well, I want to jump into the spoiler right away because this news was on Tuesday, I believe, and which is awesome. It's the first crypto company to join the S&P 500, which means that all the ETFs and indexes that list the S&P 500 companies will have to buy Coinbase stock now to include it in their offering. But then this morning, there was news that Coinbase was very slightly, a tiny bit hacked. Only like a small number of accounts. And not even hacked. These distinctions are important because when people think hack, they think the whole software basis was cracked open or whatever. That's not what happened. Straight up social engineering. Some support people were compromised and gave away some very small percent, less than 1% of user information, which then allowed these criminals to email those users and engineer them to send their funds, so they weren't able to access their money, but they were able to access the user and trick them into. So that happened this morning, I believe.
Not even 48 hours later.
No, not even. But the thing is, I am actually, I kind of think it's cool because their response to it, I feel like, was very S&P 500. They were very transparent. They said, we are not negotiating with terrorists. We are not paying out the ransom. We will make those users whole who were tricked. All of that, super upfront, very quick, So I feel like I don't think it's going to hurt them because I feel like it's almost like confirmation of their worthiness for the S&P 500.
It's also a rite of passage for these companies now to have a data breach. I mean, most of them, they just say, hey, here's 1 month of a free credit history report so you could watch it go down in real time after you leak your data. So, I mean, that's it. So, I mean,
It's funny.
It's kind of...
I think it's funny that now that Coinbase is in the S&P 500, all of these boomers that are anti-crypto, they are investing in crypto, indirectly, via their 401ks and all of these.
A lot of them without knowing it.
Yeah, without even knowing it. If you're putting money into the S&P 500, you're indirectly supporting crypto now. So I think that's pretty funny.
I mean, to even make it in there, they have to, let's see. They have to have 4 straight quarters of profitability.
There's pretty strict criteria.
So, I mean, that also just means Coinbase they're making money. Crypto go up, crypto go down. They're just sort of making money off the spread and trading. So,
good point. I'm
also sure that I'm not smart enough to know how it's going to work, but I'm sure there's going to be some weird, like, Rube Goldberg type mechanisms of, like, the stock market price, crypto prices going down, Coinbase needs short term profits, and, there's going to be all these little kind of elements at play.
No,
I don't
yeah.
know what that means, but
Because, like, yeah,
I'm sure.
the TradFi, because we were talking about this in one of our past episodes about for a while there was this narrative about like crypto decoupling from the traditional market because it's building a whole different financial system. So it's going to be like completely independent. But I think what's actually happening is getting more enmeshed together because TradFi and crypto and DeFi have been like in the past 3 months, like all the big news is just deals between TradFi and crypto. And more often than not, it's crypto eating the TradFi company rather than the other way around. And so yeah, Gage among the three of us understands markets the most by like 1,000%. But and if you between the three of us, okay, low bar, but frankly, but yeah, even you are intrigued by the way like this enmeshment is gonna affect the dynamics, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really have no idea how it's gonna play out. I mean, we could all make our speculations, but
It seems like a pretty
like,
common thing in TradFi, right? Like just all of the financification of all the things tying together.
yeah, I mean, and then I always like the whole joke, like it's already priced in. You think you know what's up? Like it's priced in. Some computer, some AI already figured it out, buddy. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's like anything else. If you believe in it, you buy and you hold and you don't do anything, and it's always the best play. And I mean, for long-term crypto investors, we can see it kind of worked out despite all the volatility. Train keeps moving. It's further than I ever thought it would get. Quite honestly, say 10 years ago, I've been around here a while. You would always hear talk about it, and there's not getting into whether people want that or not. Do they want to be meshed together with traditional institutions? I mean, here we are. It's kind of the inevitability if it's gonna be something. I mean, we all have our dreams of a crypto utopia or
Yeah,
whatever, but
I
I
bring
mean,
this up
this
all the
is
time.
sort of the inevitability if it was going to happen, and it's like happening.
Totally agree.
Well, see, the other thing always makes me think of when something like this happens with a big centralized institution like Coinbase is where does this put self-custody and self-custody wallets and self-custody platforms? Like, are they dead in the water because they can't do this sort of thing? They can't, like follow up and just reimburse the account. I guess they could, but they're not holding any funds, so it, so what does this mean? Like, this looks really awesome from the PR point of view. It's like we're gonna make everyone whole. We're not gonna buckle to these people. Like we're gonna, enforcement and all that. So it feels good. I bet it feels good to the people who were tricked,
Hmm.
even though they were tricked. So,
True.
but so what does that? Where does it leave self custody? Where all you can say is like, you were tricked. You gave away because that's what happens. Like when people say, "Oh, somebody was hacked." Like self custody wallets aren't hacked. Like the cryptography is too strong. What always happens is that people give away their phrase or send their own funds to somebody because of social engineering. So where does that leave us? Like because we use a self custody wallet.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. I feel like self custody devs, they have some catching up to do for sure. But speaking of custody and custodying companies, Robinhood, they recently acquired WonderFi is an Ethereum-centric Canadian crypto trading platform with its own L2. So it's kind of a lot to unpack. But basically, this just marks Robinhood entering the crypto markets in Canada. Last year, they went live in Europe with the crypto trading, and they were live in America for some time before that. But what makes this special, in my opinion, is it not only enables crypto trading for Canadians on Robinhood, but like I said, WonderFi has their own Ethereum L2. So maybe Robinhood L2 soon? What do you guys think about the acquisition and Robinhood possibly getting its own L2?
Well, for better or worse, Canadians, you now have Robinhood.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's another story. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a big
Compared to
movement.
most Canada stories, like Canada/US stories lately.
Yeah.
Some good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just making moves all over the place, right? They got Bitstamp, I think that was a while ago. It's like super old OG exchange. I think I got like Litecoin on them forever ago. But yeah, I mean, they got a ton of assets. They got this bundle of stuff at their disposal. Gives them kind of instant access to Canada. I mean, they're just sort of dipping their fingers everywhere. It's probably a good move for them.
I read somewhere that I don't know if this is true, but like that Canada is like one of the fastest growing crypto markets or something. Like I don't know,
That's
but
interesting.
that it's like you would. I think we think of Canada as like having like 30 people living there, but that's not true. And so
All storage is cold storage. And
uh,
Yeah, that's
That's
a
great.
clip.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think BitBuy and CoinSquare are the exchanges that WonderFi had under them, has under them, and those are the ones that are like I guess coming under Robinhood. But I feel like this is part of a like Robinhood is trying to grow into crypto, and compete with Coinbase. I think.
It feels like it,
So,
yeah.
and it's interesting because Coinbase is crypto first and it's growing into a lot of TradFi, and Robinhood is TradFi first and growing into a lot of crypto. So I guess we'll get to see
it's
which.
strange. I mean, just over, like, I remember when it was like, oh, Robinhood's doing crypto now. For some reason, I mean, I don't really use them. I'm not that close to this, but, like, I almost think of them more as, like, a place to get crypto and do that sort of stuff now. I mean, just in a span of a few years.
They have leaned in pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen with some other players who introduced like PayPal and Venmo. Like you could get crypto, but that didn't happen. I mean, I guess they aren't exchanges, so that's different. But Robinhood's play into crypto like really started, and like eventually. Remember, it was on the news like a few months ago that the revenue, the crypto part revenue of their revenue has just exploded. Like they're
Yeah, I
just
remember talking
becoming
about that.
much more a crypto company than, like Gage says, maybe any of us or even them expected to be when they started. So.
Yeah, when I was reading about it last night, and reading about Coinbase and the S&P 500 and about Robinhood, I learned that Robinhood is not even in the S&P 500. You guys know that? I was
Yeah.
kind of shocked
I
to
mean,
learn
I
that.
get, you have to be pretty big to be only 500 spots, right? Like you gotta be pretty
Nah,
big.
true that, but I mean, Robinhood though, they're solid. I was actually surprised
Yeah,
to learn
and
that they're
like
not
the
in
fact that Coinbase being crypto first and crypto like only is bigger than Robinhood, which is
True.
like a more arguably less niche product. Still, I don't know. Yeah.
there. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. Robinhood will be in the S&P 500 eventually. I'm more so curious if people will consider it the second crypto company or a crypto company at all at that point. Because I've never considered Robinhood a crypto company, but they have been leaning in pretty hard recently.
But they're all into the financials category. Like I looked, and it's not like there's a crypto category now. It's
True, true.
Coinbase
It'll
is
all
under
be a finance
financials.
eventually. Yeah. Once crypto swallows everything, it'll just be everything. It'll be finance ran by crypto. But anyway, moving on to another huge institutional player. There's lots of institutional things happening this week. Stripe, the global payment processor, just integrated stablecoin accounts across 100 countries and basically became the best crypto bank overnight. Back in October of last year,
Not financial advice.
yeah, no, not at all. Don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But back in October, they released stablecoin payments. So businesses could already accept stables if they wanted to. But this recent update allows the users to hold and send, and most importantly, spend their stablecoins at any business that uses Stripe, which is like 90% of them, I believe. So overall, transacting with stables just became way easier, especially for the people who need it the most, the people in third world countries who would rather hold and use the US dollar over their currency.
So
What
I
do
don't
you
know
what do you guys think? Is this
if you
big or
noticed this, but there was also, just to add on to what you're saying, 2 weeks ago, I believe, there was news that Visa partnered with Bridge to do stablecoin payment cards. And Bridge was acquired by Stripe even before that, and now Stripe. So I'm wondering how all of that, does that mean that Stripe will issue Visa cards now
that's a good
because
question.
Visa is partnering with Bridge,
Probably.
like, and they bought Bridge, and because the other news is MoonPay partnering with Mastercard, so it's kind of like MoonPay is with Mastercard and Stripe is with Visa or something like. I guess
Stripe and
that's
MoonPay are going to be the new MasterCard and Visa. That would be
right.
crazy. Yeah, I think this was the missing piece we needed to make crypto payments like actually accessible to average mom and pop,
Gage,
average
do you already
Joes.
have like a crypto to fiat card? You seem like a person who would.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Why not?
It's all
You seem
separate. No,
pretty
I'm
apprehensive.
actually not that involved. I just kind of, whatever I got, kind of buy and hold, separate things, investment, like other things.
But so
Yeah,
do you feel like, are you actually like a little bit of the other kind of side, Maxi? Like keep your crypto and fiat separate?
no, I wouldn't say that. It's just
No.
usually how I treat it is just it's separate. It's more of an investment than use it.
It's like a
This
savings
could
account.
potentially put it into like why not both? Like just say you could hook something up to your brokerage account with your S&P 500 or whatever you got in there, and then you could just kind of convert it. I mean, I see the next part too. These are just stable coins, but I mean, the next part is like, hey, why can't you just take your Bitcoin, take your Ethereum, swap it instantly to convert it, whatever, to a stable coin, and they get USD. So, I mean, it would be kind of cool if it was super liquid like that. Like, one of the things I always talk about, hey, like, why doesn't every dollar you get go into some investment vehicle? Well, I mean, you need to buy groceries, you need to do stuff like that. But what this kind of makes it possible in a way, I mean, you still need to be liquid, but you could potentially have an investment vehicle that you can instantly like spend in a liquid way. It's
Like,
still
yeah, and not even have to like DCA or anything, right? Like eliminate that
yeah,
step because you can get it as whatever and then immediately use it as
You
anything else.
DCA out by spending it.
Yeah,
yeah.
like this reminds me of a conversation we had on an earlier podcast where I related a story of a conversation with a friend, my mother's friend, an older woman who has worked in banking her whole life in the United States, and she was curious about crypto. And I'm not going to do the whole thing again; it's on a previous episode, but she had enough understanding to be curious, but like one of the things she was like, and some of them are like so volatile, like Bitcoin, and some of them are stable coin, so and we talked about the fact that a crypto wallet is kind of a fascinating thing because it can contain stock-like things, which is like Bitcoin and ETH, that is volatile, but is a long-term investment, and you can just look, not worry about it, like you said, buy, hold, whatever. It can contain cash-like things, which are stables that you can just spend, like the dollar, like fiat and whatever. It can contain uh, real world asset like things like NFTs and whatever, like a painting or whatever, like that people, or real estate, that people choose like a different type of investment. So one crypto wallet can contain every kind of investment or finance instrument that currently exists. And swaps are not as smooth now as we are talking about, like, immediate liquidity, whatever. But they could be, like, it's possible with contracts. So that's kind of like, I feel like an unprecedented financial product to have, like, to be able to, like, the question is whether you want to hold so much stuff in one place. But you could hold all these different, like, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I imagine in the future people will have like their assets that they are more willing to spend, in one account that is like connected to the stables, and you can just swap for stables and spend it immediately, and then a separate account that's more of like a savings, long-term investment. Because yeah, instruments like this they're starting to become a thing, so people will figure out how to use it
I mean,
the way
this
it best
that
suits them.
this kind of segue into the next part with the Pectra
Oh hell yeah, dude!
updates.
Save me,
Because,
help
I
me with
mean,
this.
already where we're at, you could start doing some interesting things where, say, you do have all these different types of cryptos. I mean, one of the things we kind of thought about before, I thought about, but it's just it would be a little too involved. Now you could do it as kind of rebalancing. Think of it like this way: you could rebalance your portfolio in kind of one transaction swap. You want to kind of shift more to stable, shift more and more volatile, whatever. I mean, just think if you did have all these type of assets and you wanted to go more liquid, you could kind of do that in one simple batch transaction now. And it just wasn't
Yeah,
really
one
possible
click.
before.
One
What?
click. One
And
click.
yeah, in one
Like
click.
one.
I mean, just how that will interact what we were just talking about of having all these assets and wanting to do something. Not, I want to take my Ethereum and convert a certain amount to stable coin and take that stable coin and do that. You could kind of just like boom and do it.
Yeah, and my understanding is that you could like, I mean, this is a question of interface, like whether you can do this in plain language or whatever. But my understanding is that you could even say like do this monthly, but I never want my BTC to go below 1.5. I never want my ETH to go below 10, but whatever is over, you can convert to this and then send to this other address. When it's like you can do all of that and like automated, right?
I'm actually not that involved. I would imagine from what I've been saying, you can get very creative with it. Where before you kind of had to, everything's in steps. Sure, you could get kind of creative, but you're still bound by those like limits of what you could do. It's like way more open now. You can get way more creative with it. I'm sure we'll see a lot of kind of innovation within the next 6 months to a year.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, like to kick back to the Coinbase hack in the beginning of our conversation. Also, my limited understanding was that Pectra and kind of some of this wallet abstraction that can be applied to regular wallets now may also open the door to more comprehensive security that will make wallet self-custody not so perilous, not so kind of risk, not so heavy, but still leave it as a self-custody. Is that the right understanding, that there might be tools that will make that possible?
Uh, I think we're in the same boat. I mean, overall, I think we're in the same boat as before. Like, it ultimately down to the person. Like,
Yeah.
um, you know, really, it's not that hard at the moment. You can do a few things and you're good. Like, I don't think that weakest link, I think, is still the weakest link,
Yeah.
despite all these changes. And that's
The
how it always is
person
going to
is
be.
always the
The
weakest
person's
link
always the weakest link. Hey,
for
that's how it is
everything.
even in standard, like, cybersecurity. I
True.
mean, they don't,
Social engineering.
most of the time they're not hacking the systems or hacking some person in that has control over the system. It's just the way it works. So yeah, I don't think that's going to change. I don't know if it could ever change. I don't know if it should change. I don't know how it would change. So
Yeah, like if you think about it, even if like you make everything genetic coded, like iris or whatever, still if you trick the person, they will come and, you know, give you their fingerprint or their iris and be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea."
yeah,
like even if you do that.
yeah. So it's always going to be there.
True. I've read online that after Pectra, not like we don't have to sign approvals anymore, right? So like now it's technically possible that you can get a pop up on your wallet and then sign the transaction, and then all your assets are drained, and like you have no idea what happened. Like there wasn't like you didn't have to sign for it or approve it prior. But then I've also heard devs argue that like, well, that was kind of already possible, and wallets can like just warn their users. Is that true, or what do you think about that, Gage?
Maybe I
As far
misinterpreted. I thought it could be like combined, kind of like we're talking about combined into the same
Like one
transaction.
transaction.
So
A
like, do you
batch.
think that affects user security at all? Because like I can see how someone might see the pop up and then click it, and then now they're drained,
But you know
rather
what?
than like clicking to and
I
then
feel
getting
like
stopped halfway through.
in I feel like in practice, it's like reading those terms of privacy or whatever agreements. Like I think in practice, most people just click through it anyway, like
True.
without examining the approval, because I don't have the skills or understanding to read, even if like the wallet interface offers me the approval code or whatever. Like I don't know what that approval is saying unless it's offered to me in plain English, which some wallets do, but then I have no way of verifying that what this plain English says is
Yeah.
actually what the code is, interpreting the code faithfully. So I feel that in practice, most people just click through. I mean, I do. I don't do a lot of crypto, but like every time I've had to like connect to DApp and be like, I was sure,
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean, I agree with that kind of sense. If you're going to click the button, you're going to click the button. So, for
Yeah, that makes
better or
sense.
worse. Again, that just comes back to the users, the weakest
Users are the
links.
weakest point. Yeah, no, definitely. I read somewhere once that social engineering is like 90% more efficient for like hacking people. Like it's more efficient than getting software to figure out like how to break the back end or whatever.
Oh, for
Like
sure. And
just trick
with like
somebody.
encryption becoming stronger, it's just like so much more expensive. You got to get like that. It's like that old $5 wrench attack cartoon that is still relevant, still accurate. But the thing is, like, that one is grim because it implies like beating it out of a person, but you don't even have to do that. You just have to
Just threaten
finesse.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy world. Well, it's that time again, which brings us to a close, unfortunately. I hope you enjoyed this episode, listener. If you disagreed with anything or we got something majorly wrong, let us know. We'd love to hear your take. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do a backflip, stand in front of the mirror with your eyes closed and spin around and say Biggie Smalls. Do all the things. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.